Wait, 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 wait. Uh, Good morning to all the students.
Good morning, sir.
1 minute, please. Good morning to all the students, because we have a important topic on management information systems and decision making, which is very hot topic of the corporates. And we are lucky to have the speaker is advisor to McKinsey, and he worked in Dr. Reddy's, and also he was the CFO of you know, pharmaceutical companies, and he's a chartered accountant and a cost accountant now. Uh, Srimati Jayalakshmi is going to introduce the speaker. She's from Genpact. Madam, it's now you may introduce the speaker, please. Jayalakshmi.
Yeah, good morning all.
Yes, Amma, you can start.
Yeah, thank you, sir. First of all, I want to thank Parsuram sir, Prakash sir, for giving me this opportunity to introduce the great personality, Parsuram sir. Yeah, hi sir. First of all, good morning to everyone. Myself, Jayalakshmi. I'm the online student of IPA since last few months ago. Yeah, let me start a few introduction regarding Parsuram sir before I'm handovering the call to him. Yeah, hi Parsuram sir.
Good morning.
Yeah, very good morning. Yeah, hi everyone. Parsuram sir is a chartered accountant and as a and with a postgraduate diploma in the system management, and he has worked in the industry over last 30 years. And his last assignment with was the CFO of Vyasa Life Science Limited, a pharmaceutical company based out of Hyderabad. Prior to this, he has a long career with the Dr. Reddy's Laboratories, spanning over 20 years. When he has handling multiple leadership roles across finance and operations in his last role at this company. He was the global head of R&D operations, wherein he was responsible for supply chain, engineering projects and safety knowledgement, and as well as operation excellence for the integrated R&D operating across 6 countries. Actually, across 6 countries is not an easy task. I really it's an big task to sir. And Parsuram sir has joined Dr. Reddy's in the year of 2000, and he stayed this company of various projects, including being the finance head of formulation, technical operations, corporate finance, and as well as corporate governance, and head of finance of PSAI and biological business. And apart from this, he is also the global compliance officer. Some of the key projects he has taken under in this company includes organization with SAP implementation and setting up of global business services functions, which provides shared services of Dr. Reddy's. And he was the special invitee to CPA committee of a Central Council of Institute of Chartered Accountant for the financial year of 11 and 12, and corporate member of NDA AS Implementation Committee of Central Council of Institute of Chartered Accountant for the financial year 12 and 13. And he was the convener of CII Telangana of doing business penal of the period of 2017 and 19, CII Telangana Finance and Taxation Panel of 2013 and 2017 as well. This is a small introduction of Parsuram sir, and thank you so much for joining this call and helping us in this call right now, sir. You can go ahead. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you, madam. First, thanks, Dr. Prakash, for giving me this opportunity to talk on this subject. So
Yes, sir.
yes. So I hope And I know I had come earlier and met him also. So I was just going through what you all do. It's a great way of making people ready for the organizations. So now, like what we say when you actually, what you all say, practical accountants, we talk about how we can convert our theoretical, the knowledge which we have in theory, into actual practice and add value to the organization. So before I start my topic, and I would like this topic, our discussion to be more interactive. So I would request people to mute and unmute themselves whenever they put answer, and I will be having a lot of question and answer discussions, because that's how I normally like to take, because that adds value to the entire conversation, and you can ask your doubts or add value to the entire conversations. Okay, just before I started, why do organization exist? When I ask this question, what's an answer you all have? So why do organization exist? Yeah, participants, I would like interactions. Okay, you are all preparing yourself for that. Go ahead. Why do organization exist? What do you think? Why do we exist?
Students, please unmute the mic and then you can reply. Yes, please.
Why do organization exist?
For functioning,
So they are there for functioning. By functioning, what do they achieve? Yeah, good answers to start with. Yes.
some output of the work.
Brilliant. So when we have some output, what does it add value to me? So we are working. Why are we working in office?
For money or salary.
So to get some value. So I put it in a different thing, but exactly like when you say money, to create some value for ourselves. Same way, organization is existing to generate value for whom? For its stakeholders. When we say stakeholders, what does it mean? When we say when we say anything, when we say there is a stakeholder, what does it mean? In this case, let us say this conversation I have, there are multiple people who are there. You are there, Mr. Prakash is there, and a lot of so many people are there. You are all my stakeholders in this. So what do you mean by stakeholders?
Who invest money for functioning of the company.
So one is investing money. So they are one of all the shareholders are one of the people who are invested because they're interested in the generating value. Who else are interested in the organization?
Owner of the company.
Owner. Other than that, like suppose I'm running a company, who else is interested in it? So stakeholders are people who are normally interested by the any decision or any action. So company creating value, one is the owners are interested because they get money. Who else are impacted by it?
Employees. Employees.
Employees, fantastic. So employees are impacted by it. Yes. Who else are impacted by it?
And people who are involved with the company, like purchasing goods from the company.
So the vendors, yes. People who are given money, like your bankers. So these are people who get impacted by an organization. So anything you do gets impacted. So they are called stakeholders. Same way, when you take a decision, people who get impacted by them are called your stakeholders. Okay, so these are few things you should understand. For anything what you do in an organization, there will be stakeholders. Suppose as a finance person, you are closing your books. You will give it. You will give the report to the board. You will give it to the management. You will give it to the business heads. You will give certain information to the plant, some information to employees. All of these people stakeholders. Same way you will give it to the bankers because they need to know how you are progressing. So they become stakeholder for you. So this is what is called stakeholders. So stakeholders will change depending upon the circumstances and for what we are looking at. Okay, is that clear, everybody?
Yeah, it's clear.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, right. So now let us start with management information decision. Okay. In life, we keep on taking decisions. Can you just tell me some few decisions which you take in what an organization will be taking? Can you give me some examples?
How
Sir,
to
investment
develop
decisions.
the business? Sorry. Okay.
Investment in business, yes, madam. You go ahead. Yeah, yes, ma'am.
Yeah, how to gain the profits in the business?
So how? So that is your output. That is the end goal to make to profits. But for that you have to do multiple decision. So whenever we are taking decision, that means some action which you need to take. What are something to do? Okay, perfect. So can you give me some more examples of the decisions which normally an organization should be taking?
Business plans, sir.
So business plan. So in a business plan, what will you do? What
How-
is it?
How to get the investments and what way to run the organization.
How to run the organization? Perfect. Or how to get investments? Perfect. So these are few decisions. Okay. So when we talk every day in an organization, people take decisions because every action, even whether I should accept this payment, let us say I go and make the payment to the simple thing, a utility payment to the telephone operator. The person who is receiving my money will check and say whether he should accept my money or not. He will check whether I am the right person. So he will not accept money from anybody. So that is also a decision. So that is a transactional decision. That some decision will be taken, should I manufacture today or not? So just some of these decisions are all of my screen is visible to all of you, right?
Yes, sir, it's visible.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So like there are decisions could be what product should I manufacture today? Or should I discontinue this product? Whom should I recruit? Should we launch this product in the overseas market? What is the business we would like to be? Like what do you think? Should we acquire this company? How does each of these decision? You see the impact of the decision. If you look at each of these, can look at from the impact perspective. What product will I produce today? The impact is smaller than should I discontinue this product, correct? Is the impact same for both of them? Is the consequences of both these decisions the same?
No, sir, different.
Which has a bigger consequence? The consequence of which of these two decisions? What product should I manufacture today or should I discontinue this product is more significant?
Sir, I think which product you should be stopping.
Yeah, so which I should discontinue because the moment I take that decisions, there are multiple actions to do and it's a long term. So the impact comes over a period of time. What should I manufacture today is the impact is only for the day today. Yeah, it may have 1 or 2 days impact, but it's a short term decision. What product should I discontinue could have a medium to long term impact. Or should I launch this product in overseas market could have a short term to long term impact. Which business we would like to be has a very long term impact. Should I acquire this company as a long term? So the decisions come into 3 buckets. Decisions which come into with a short term impact, something which has a long term, medium term, or a long term impact. So there are by impact we can categorize any of these decisions into 3 buckets. Same way, some of these are strategic decisions, some of these are tactical decisions, and some of these are operational decisions or transactional decisions. Like what product should I transfer? Should I accept this material or not? These are all transactional decisions. Next is tactical to achieve. So should I continue this, discontinue this product? Should I launch in overseas? These are all more tactical things. Strategies, should I acquire this company? Should I, which business I would like to be? All these are strategies. So there are 3 different types of decisions. One is strategic, one is tactical, and one is operational. So if you take decisions, we can categorize at least in 2 different types by the impact it creates, what is the consequences for which it happens, and what type of decisions it is. Okay, is that clear? Any questions
Yes,
on
sir.
this? Okay, normally, let us say a simple decision I take at home. Should I take my 2-wheeler or a car, or should I go by public transport? I want to go from one place to another place. So in that case, these three things, this is also a decision, correct or not? Is this a decision or not a decision?
Yes, sir. Decision.
It's a decision. So when there is a when there, so what is a critical for any decision? In this, you should have alternatives. If you don't have alternatives, you have like, I have to go only by public transport. Is that a decision? If there is no other opportunity, I go into a place where there's only public transport and there's only one
No,
bus.
sir, it's the only alternative.
There's no other alternative, so there's no decision to be taken. So that is what. So decision, one thing is you need to have alternatives, and all the alternatives should be mostly viable alternatives. Suppose I have to go 100 kilometers going, I have to travel. Then there's no point of saying whether I should go by two-wheeler. The mostly, if I only option between two-wheeler and public transport, then I have to go by public, because normally people will not travel 100, 200 kilometers by a two-wheeler. So this is what we do. So there should be alternatives. The alternatives should be viable. So that is how you go into decision making. So first thing is, this is what we understand by decision making. Understand? And every day there will be decisions to be taken. Okay. Now let me go into so if you look at management, we have normally 3 levels of management. The reason why we need to understand to them is the requirement of information they need to take decisions are different. Suppose a factory manager will have to take a decision whether what product should I manufacture? Should I run on GG set or not, or renewable power? So his decisions are going to be something which relates to his day-to-day transaction. The tactical managers will be taking certain more decisions on what should I do differently? Should I reduce the cost? So that it's slightly different from the operational manager. And the strategic management is taking a long-term view. So there are 3 levels of management, what we say in a company: operational, tactical, and strategic. So what they do, the decision they take, most of the tactical operational people's decision will be structured. Tactical managers will be semi-structured, and strategic management is completely unstructured. Should I acquire this company or not? This is not a structured decision. So most of the strategic management's decision will be unstructured. Tactical manager will be semi-structured. Some structure will be there, some not be there. And operational normally will be structured. Like if I have to produce this product or not, it will be very structured way of approaching that decision. So understanding the problem and alternatives and doing. So this is a structured way, saying which product demand is there. So it will be very structured for him. And the information system for them is more transactional processing. Information system for tactical management is more management information. This is where we're going to focus today on MIS. And information system for the top management or the strategic management is mostly decision support system, what we call as DSS. So our focus today will be on the management information system, which is mostly giving semi-structured information for tactical management. Transaction processing unit give decisions for the operational management, and they are very structured. Is that clear to everybody? Any questions? Any questions? I normally don't take silence as an S. I just keep, I wait for an answer. Yeah. Huh? You're clear?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Because I normally would like to hear a affirmative answer than a silence. Because silence, I don't get any enthusiasm from silence. So the more I can give more information is when I hear you all talking, giving me feedbacks. Okay. Now let us go into the topic of decision and decision making. So we talked about decision, correct? So what is the critical aspect of a decision is? What are the critical characteristics of a decision? When we say decision, from your tell me from your day-to-day knowledge, you are all logical. You understand life. So from what you say, because Life is not different from the logic, what we are going to talk. Okay. When you say decision, what do you see in characteristics of a decision? Yeah, students.
Alternatives.
There should be alternatives first. Yeah. Before that, there should be a problem statement. Yeah.
And
Yeah. Go ahead. Yes, sir.
Different perspectives of the problem.
So there should be different perspectives of the problem. There should be alternate. First, there should be a problem. You should have different perspectives of a problem. You will have alternatives to solve the problem. Okay. And last, you should have a control on what you want to execute. If you don't control, then there's no decisions. Okay. So it is a course of action. So this is a theoretical definition. It's a course of action. So something you have to do. If you don't have to do anything, there's no decision to be done, because then you're just keeping quiet. So you need to see something to be done, chosen from a set of alternatives. So there are alternatives and we are choosing from it, and that choosing an action to be done to achieve an organization or a managerial objectives of goals. So there's a particular things to be achieved. To achieve that, what we need to do, that is what is called a decision. Is that clear? So it's three things. You need to achieve something. You are in a state where there are multiple, you have a problem, an objective, what you take, or resolving a problem. You are standing in a state where you have multiple alternatives and you have a choice to make it. So chosen. So these are the critical words. This chosen. It is not forced on you. There's a called course of action. So it's something to do from a set of alternatives for achieving objective. So these are the four key aspects what we discussed. Okay. And the process of making these is called a decision making. Okay. And how do we do, like what you all said? You will identify a decision. So you identify a problem statement. You will gather information, like what you said. You will get a different perspective. These in official language, we call it gathering information. Why is gathering information important? Okay. Before I answer this question, let me ask you something different. Now, we take decisions. Have all of you heard of the word called gut feeling? Have you heard of the feeling like a gut feeling?
yes, sir.
When you say I took a decision by gut, or it's a,
Yes, sir.
what does it mean?
Risk taking.
It
Confidence.
is
Confidence.
confidence. Brilliant. Confidence, risk
Sir,
taking.
it doesn't mean. It means a hunch, sir. Hunch.
Hunch. It is
It
not
is a
hunch.
hunch, sir.
It is a hunch. Okay. So just to combine all of these, when I say it is called a subjective way of thinking, it is done by past experience or from a hunch or anything, not specifically based on data. You don't sit and analyze data and then take a decision. You take it on a spur of the moment based on your intuition, hunch, or what we call as in common terminology called a gut feeling. So it's a subjective way of thinking where you go by past something in your mind. There's a flash of thoughts. It comes up and you said, okay, let me do this way. And that is called a subjective way of thinking as against objective way of thinking, which is based on information. So in decision making, in officially, while we do a lot of by hunch, we would like to do a structure. Structure means an objective way of decision making. And for that, we need to have gather information. We will analyze it and assess alternative solutions. It could be as a, like what I was saying, could be as a result of subjective thinking or objective thinking. It could be structured or unstructured decision making. Unstructured decision making means you will get some information, you will just do. You don't have a step one, step two, but it is more of intuition or anything like that. You will take a decision making. It may have not been documented. You may not discuss. So these are structure and decision. So normal decision making, it's better to be objective. It is better to be structured. Yes, if you are too structured, sometimes your creativeness is may be lost. So this is something which we keep on hearing in the industry. people, we are coming from a creative field. Let us say R&D scientist. They say we are very creative. How can our decision making may be structured? So the one thing what we normally say is your thought process could be creative, but the way you execute should be structured. So there should be a process of doing it. That is how the project management has come into play. So we are structurally managing the project. So your execution could be process driven, but your thinking can be creative. So this is what we always talk about in the R&D world. And any questions on this? Any questions till now? So you understood what is decision making and decision, correct? Yeah, students. I would like, and I can hear 2 or 3 voices at the maximum. I would like to hear. I understand there are more than that in this call. I would like to hear more people interacting, and that adds value to you and for the class. Okay, please do that. Now, if I take decisions can be multiple things. One is it's program. That means it's based on certain rule. Like if the material, let's say something, if a material is of this value, he approves it. So that is decisions which are very program structured, or it could be non-programmed, it is exceptional problems. So decision could be programmed or non-programmed. It could be a major decision, it could be a minor decision. It could be a routine transactional decision, or it could be a strategic decision. It could be a policy decision or an operative decision. It could be organization dependent decisions for the organization decision, like should I purchase this equipment for the organization, or it could be a personal decision. Should I accept this appointment or not? So decisions could be organizational thing, or it could be individual or group. So these are different types of decisions. Okay. So the reason why we try to classify decisions are there is it also involves, because the consequences of the decisions change, the effort you need to make decisions will there. Suppose it's a small inconsequential decision, you will not spend so much effort on it. The management bandwidth may not be required. But if it's a major decision, then enough due diligence has been. So the amount of due diligence you take, it's also depend upon what type of decision. So that is why you try to take identify what type of decision, because it tell you how much resource, how much time, who should invest. All of these will change depending upon the decision making. And there are 3 environment where we take decisions. One is what we call it certainty, where we know what is going to happen. Suppose the decision like producing the product. I know I have all the material, I can take this decision. So there is a amount of certainty in the environment. There's no so much uncertainty. Yes, things can go wrong, but 95% it will go. If I say I have to produce this, I can produce it. So these decisions are taken in the environment of certainty. Then there is risk. There is a possibility that this can happen. So that is called a decision under risk environment. And finally, decision under uncertainty means when we don't know how it's going to change. We don't know what's going to happen. So these are the 3 different types of environment, and how you approach decision making in these environments vary. So this is a chapter subject matter of discussion for a bigger thing, but I thought you should also understand the difference between certainty, risk, and uncertainty. Risk is the chances of it happening is unknown. So the probability, there is a possibility that can happen. In case of uncertainty, we don't know whether it's going to happen at all now. So the chances of it happening is uncertain, and second, to what extent it can happen also is uncertain. So there are the levels of uncertainty changes in each of them. Okay. Next we come to because all decisions are taken by people. Okay, so people take decisions. So what sort of like, even when you talk about leadership, we have heard of authoritative, laissez-faire. So we have heard of different types of leadership. Same way decision making also, there are different ways of decision making. One is called directive, where you take decision and tell them this is how I want you to do it. So clear directive way of, so you come, the very decisive one, it's quick solutions, right? It's rational, it is logical. It is not that one decision making style is different from other, but
Sorry.
yes,
There
sir.
was some problem in the screen. Screen sharing, there was some problem, technical problem.
Okay.
It is shaking. That's what. If you
Now it
can
is okay.
Sir. No. It is breaking. The screen is break. Okay. Now it's okay, sir. Yes, fine now. There was actually, it was shaking.
Okay.
Now it's okay.
Very good. Thank you, sir. So decision making styles. Style also is different. You will adopt these type of decision making styles based on the circumstances. Suppose you are sitting with your people who report to you. You may be a directive, or you want to a decision which needs to have a long-term impact. Then you will try to be analytic. So each of these decision styles you will adopt based on the circumstances, the consequences. So directive, where you be very quick decisions. Suppose you are in a place where you have to take very quick decisions. You will not try to be build up consensus. You will say, okay, take this decision. Let us move forward on this. That is what is directive, and that happens when you are in a point where you need to take decision, move forward. You can't wait for more analysis and all of it. So that is called a directive way of decision making. Analytical is when you look at all the data, start analyzing it and looking at pros and cons, take your own time and do it. So analytical will take more time than directive. So depending upon how fast you need to take this decision, your decision making will do. Conceptual is where you try to look at the big picture. We are trying to evaluate different alternatives where each alternative has some grayness. So it is neither black and white. So there is some sort of a risk, uncertainty, not complete clarity on that. You go into conceptual way of decision making. And finally, behavior is when you are with equals. Suppose you are in a place where all the people in the committee are equals, then you will be trying to focus more on the relationship than on the task. So this is like what they call a leadership of laissez-faire in the leadership skills. Same way, decision making can be behavioral also, where you are trying to put more importance on the people than on the task. Okay, any questions on this? So there's nothing wrong in one decision making to another, and it is not that I should adopt only one. You will adopt each of these decision making styles based on the circumstances, the consequences, and the importance of the decisions. So if you don't have time, best to be directive. In a project, you will listen to everybody, but then the decision will be yours. So that is where you will be directive. Okay. So what are the steps you want to take up for decision making? We talked about it. We need to identify a problem. Then we'll identify, gather all relevant. The key words are two things here: relevant and information. There's no point in collecting information which is not relevant. Suppose we are talking about whether I should outsource a product or manufacture in-house. The cost of the project manager or the production head is irrelevant, because that person's cost is going to be spent whether I'm outsourcing or manufacturing in-house. So like this, there are certain costs which are not relevant for taking decision. So you will identify all relevant information and take it. Then you will identify the alternatives, review the alternatives. So you will go and look at each and every alternative, then identify the most viable alternative. Viable, I use the word here because some of them will be non-viable. So you drop it and you look at the most optimal solution and then execute it. And the most critical thing, review the decision and its impact, because you will learn from past experience. So the decision making is the 7 steps: identifying the problem, getting all the relevant information, identifying alternatives, review the alternatives, then the shortlist the alternative, actual execution, and finally the closure, which is the reviewing the decision and impact. Is that clear? So this is critical in any problem solving or decision making. This is a problem solving steps. You will hear about this whenever you do problem solving. Okay. Can I move forward?
Sir,
Yes.
question is who will take the decisions in the committee? Like who are being allowed? Finally, owner will take the decision based on all these steps or the points what you discussed. Who are involved actually? Main persons to be involved.
Okay. Normally, any decision what happens is always by a person. I agree. There is, while they talk about joint responsibility, normal decision has to be taken by one person. I agree with that. It need not be the owner alone. It could be anybody who has been assigned. So in an organization, let us say it is the marketing decision, whether I should go for this type of advertisement or not. Normally the owner. So if it is something which doesn't have a significant impact, consequences, so we normally have the level of authority. So the in this case, up to 50 lakh of rupees, any advertisement can be taken by the marketing head. So then the marketing head takes a decision. So we have in any organization something called delegation of authority. Based on the delegation of authority, the people will take decision. Is that clear, madam? So that is why we try to classify the decisions into long term, short term, and medium term. Consequences, high consequence, low consequence. Based on that, and how much resources you need to take the decision. Based on that, decisions will be taken. And in a committee, normally the chairman of the committee is the final person you do it. Everybody else supports them. Suppose it's a marketing thing, normally the marketing head will take it. Suppose it's a production thing, the decision will be by the production head in a committee also. So it is normally the person who has the most skin in the game will take that decision. That's how it really works in the common world. Is that clear, ma'am?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. But execution, while executing, suppose that there will be a loss in being incurred by the decision of the marketing head or the product, it will impact the complete company.
Correct. So what happens is, he is responsible. So he is given a budget. I agree. So every company will be there, but then there is a person who has been authorized. He is there in that position because of certain powers he's doing it, right? So you empower him. He has to take the he doing that. He's able to do something like increase the sale from 5% to 20%. The entire company gets a benefit.
Yes, definitely.
So same way, the company gets a benefit of his decision, or the any negativity coming from it also, he is a company there. And so any negative or positive happening from the decision, company gets it. That is where the delegation of authority as a play. So normally the finance team drives to create something called delegation of authority, so that they know they can limit the risk which is there.
Okay.
So then there is also, we call a maker checker, approval process. All of these come into place.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Now we come into how to take decision making. Any other questions anybody else have? Okay, so we talked about management decision making. For whom is the management decision information system? It is for the tactical management, and mostly it is for semi-structured. We talked about objective way of decision making. What do we mean by objective way of decision making? Objective way of decision where you gather information, analyze, and take decisions. So that is where our MIS comes in. MIS means we supply the information for decision making. Like what we said, decision can be at different level: strategic, tactical, or operational. It can be long term or short term. All of these could be possible. Strategic is normally long term, tactical could be medium term or short term. And information, now a production head wants to take a decision, what product should be produced today, what are the information he'll need. Team, if you are the production head, you need to take a decision on what product you need to manufacture today. So what is the information you need?
Whether the product has demand in the market or not.
So first question is whether there's a demand in the market. Fantastic. What else you need?
Raw material where it can be procured in a low cost.
Material availability. So I'll say, because if you have to produce today, it can't be procured today. So whether the materials are available today. Perfect. So
And-
availability of material. What else is required? Information.
He will take the closing stock values.
So you will see whether the stock is available. So one, there is a demand. I have a demand of 10,000 units, whether I have 10,000 units or 5,000 units. If I have 5,000, then I'll ensure that I produce 5,000 and give it to the market. Perfect. So you look at the stock and try to see whether there is a requirement for it. So one, you will see whether there is a demand. You will see whether there is a actual requirement for it. Third, do you have the enough resources for it? Anything else?
In how much quantity the product has to be produced?
Yeah, it's correct. So that is where you see the requirement. From demand, you will derive the requirement, and from there they see the resources availability. Whether resource could be raw material, whether you need the machinery. Suppose that the equipment on which you have to manufacture is already used for some other product, then you can't do it. Or third, if it is under breakdown or anything, you can't use it. And finally, if the human resource, the workers are not available, you can't produce. So all of these. So you try to get all relevant information. So in this case, I don't need to know whether, let us say a case, advertisement ke liye this much we have spent. I'm not interested in that because that has no bearing on this decision. So we'll take all the information requirement based on the decision what we need to take and do it. Is that clear?
Yes.
Yeah. Now, let us say here the decision, data to decision to actual execution, we normally talk about 4 steps. The first step is data. What do you mean by data? Suppose you go to a shop, you are selling. What could be a data in that? You are going to a shop which is selling, let us say, provisions. What is the data in that?
What type of
What are
items
the-
are there? How much
What
is items
sort
are
of there? So is this a information or a data? How do you differentiate a difference between data and information?
data is set of the information.
Okay, what I say is data is needed for getting information. So
Yes.
which material is there is an information. Data is, suppose I look at, so let us say if I have billing, every invoice I raise is a data. It's a collection of various items in that. So what you get collection, we don't use the word information in that because information is processed data becomes information. So every invoice is a document. Every invoice document is there. So from there we collect how much sales are made in the day. So total sales made in the day is a information. Invoice number 14 is 100 rupees. Invoice number 15 is for 1,000 rupees. These are all data. So you collect data, start summarizing it and combining it together. That becomes, when you aggregate data, it becomes the information. So it is like a processed data become, information. From information, you analyze and create some insight and create an action. So that is what is called actionable insight. So now let us example the same example of a provision shop. Every invoice is a data. How much sales I made is a information. What is the closing stock I have is a information. So now from that, if I going to see identify that based on my sale, my stock, I have to procure. I'm having half a day of inventory or 2 days of inventory or 5 days of inventory. Suppose I take a pulse. I normally have been selling for last 3-4 days 100 kg per day. So this is an information. Every day I'm selling on an average 100 kgs. I have a stock of 1000 kgs. Now what do? You are analyzing this, and what will be the analysis will come in? If I'm selling on an average 100 kgs of pulse and I have 1000 kgs on my hand, what does that mean? What's an analysis will happen?
Stock is more.
So, yes, I have 10 days stock.
Yes.
So this is an analysis. So you're analyzing the information to come to a conclusion saying that I have 10 days. So I have used stock. My stock is more. I have 10 days stock. Suppose I'm selling on an average 100 kgs of pulse and I'm having 50 kgs. That means what? I'm short of stock, correct?
Yes.
So that means you lead to an analysis and a conclusion that I will be not able to meet that tomorrow's demand. So this is an analysis, a conclusion. So based on the data, you create information. From an information, you come to a conclusion, and based on a conclusion, so I will not be able to supply demand. So what does it lead to? Immediately, what will you do? Suppose I have only 50 kgs of pulses against 100 kgs of material requirement. What will I do?
You try to procure,
You will
acquire that.
procure. So you will do some actionable. So you
Yes.
take some action. So from data, you will come to information. From information, you will come to a conclusion. From a conclusion, you will come to an action. So this is the normal 4 flows. So what we call as data, information, analysis, and actionable insight. Actionable insight, or is an action, you can say that. Is that clear? So these are the 4 states of normal decision making and actions. And like what you all said, data is defined as sets of facts and statistics collected together for reference or analysis. So you take data, these are facts and statistics. So each invoice is a statistic. So you collect it together and then you analyze, then you do some, come to some conclusion based on that. So this is what we try to do. So first we try to do data, convert into information, identify, come to a conclusion, and take some action. Now, you are all going into the business world tomorrow. A lot of people stop at information, giving information. So we, this is where a finance team can, as finance professionals, can add a lot of value. I'll give you an example. Now, I have a subsidiary in, say, I'm a US. It is making a profit of $1 million per month. Is this an information or what? Is it a conclusion, information, or a actionable insight? My subsidiary in US is making a profit of $1 million per month. Is this an information or is it a conclusion?
It's an information, sir.
So it's an information given to the government saying, to the management saying that I'm just that thing. Now, what should I, so for first question will the management will ask me, okay, fine, this information you gave me, what should I do with this? Then you will come and say, are we making enough profits or are we underperforming? So this is a conclusion will come in. So you will create an hypothesis which will say this company, this subsidiary is generating profit, enough profits, or is not generating enough profits. So you will come try and give them saying it is generating 1 million profit, 1 million per month profit, and it is in line with our expectation. So what you will say, it is generating, it's a sustainable profit, or it is not generating sufficient profits. So this is a conclusion you will tell. Then finally, after this, what will you do? Is this sufficient to the top management to take decision?
No. They have to analyze.
What do they need more than this?
You have to analyze.
Analysis.
So once
Analyze.
you analyze, and so when you analyze and you tell them, you will now tell them, okay, these products are not like the sales growth is last 5 years ka sales growth is this much, or year my sales is not there. So you'll try to analyze and say these products are selling, these products are not selling, my material cost is higher or my employee cost is higher. So you will tell them specifically areas where they can work. This is what is called actionable insight. The most important thing as you professionals can give is your actionable insight, where you will try to tell them what the management can take decision. So don't stop at data. Don't stop at information. So you should never stop at data. Information is the first stage. That is good beginning. But you should be able to draw conclusions from the information. That's the next step. But unless you give actionable insight, your job is not completed. Otherwise, what happens? It is like telling a problem. So when you go to somebody, you will tell a problem statement. What will they say? What will the management say? Don't come to me with a problem. Come to me with a solution. The solution is the actionable insight. So analysis is a problem statement. From information, you will come to an analysis, which is a problem statement, or some information, something which they want to have. You want them to act. That is a problem statement. But unless you tell them how to act on it, your job is not completed. So as a professional, you need to go the entire gamut from data to actionable insight. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
And this is the mode you'll have to analyze the data, identify areas where they can act. So here the same 7 steps of decision making comes in, out of which the first 4 steps are something what you're going to give it to them. Okay. Okay. When I give now, let us say we go to the production head and tell him we should spend 1 lakh rupees on this advertisement. Is that information important for him? Is this actionable insight important for him? If you go and tell the production head, if I done a advertisement of this, my demand will increase. Is that an important decision for him? Important insight for him?
Yes.
Suppose,
Yes, sir.
no, if you are a production head, I come and tell you, if you run this marketing campaign in TV, your demand will increase. As a production head, is that important for him?
But he has to analyze it, sir. How far it is feasible or benefit to him, to the
But
company.
for the day, but is that his role to take the decision on marketing?
No, not on one factor.
So if he's not going to take a decision by giving that actionable insight to him, what is an advantage?
He's acquiring the information. That's it, and he
But
has to see different aspects.
for him, yeah, there is a like if I go and tell him in future the demand may go from 100,000 units to 200,000 units in future. That's an important insight for him because he had to plan capacity.
Yes.
But if you are telling him that I should run this campaign, he's not interested in running campaigns, right? Marketing campaigns. The marketing manager will be interested.
Yes. Production has to be taken based on the analysis and insight what he got.
What is important? So if you are telling him my demand for next 2 years is expected to grow at a CAGR of 25%, that's important information from him. We expect this product to go and cannibalize another product. That is a good information. So what we should look at is this relevant for him? Is it, so what we take is any insight, is it aligned to the business? So, or is it aligned to the activity to him? So is it aligned to his function? For a function, you see, you look at is it aligned to him or is it aligned to the business? So any actionable insight we give, it is going to be aligned to the person who's receiving it. It should be in the context in which he wants it. Just an information won't help him. It should be looking at the context. It should be relevant, all relevant, right information for taking the decision. It should be specific. A general comments won't do. Saying that our cost is increasing won't help. My power cost is increasing because of these reasons, or there is my DG sets is having maintenance is increasing. That's all specific. This information which you're giving, which you can act on it. It should be something new. You should not be giving any insight which is already known to everybody. It should be something new and it should be communicated clearly. So whenever you're giving an actionable insight, so this is what we normally do. When we give some information to others for them to take action, you see that it is aligned to them. Giving an extra information which is not relevant to you, it's not. Suppose you don't invest in shares, I tell share prices are going to increase. You will not be interested. Okay, he said, fine, thank you. Or so that is what is that. So it should be aligned. It should be interest to the person who's receiving it. It should be in the context on which he is looking for a decision. It should be looked at all the relevant information. This will be specific and novel and clarity. Okay, and the steps is first clear. Whenever you're doing it, first identify the problem and have a solution. Hypothesis. Now the hypothesis on subsidies is a subsidy making sufficient profits. Is 1 million per month a good profit? So our hypothesis is that my subsidy in US is making making reasonable profits. This is my hypothesis. Or is it not making reasonable profits? First, we create a hypothesis. Then we collect all data which is relevant for it. Then we will analyze all the information So we will collect the information, analyze it, and then present the insight. So we communicate and also prepare a report on it. So this is how we do. First, we identify a problem, we create a hypothesis, we collect all the data, analyze it, and we present it. So it follows a 5-step method for an actionable insight. And in our collection, so we take the right data, we integrate. You just don't take at one data, you look at multiple sources. So you look at competitors, you look at our business plan. So as per our business plan, my subsidiary should be generating $2 million per month. Now it is only making $1 million. So that is another data source. Or my competitor today is earning $500,000 or 50% profit margin. I'm getting 60% profit margin. So all of these will come in. So you will integrate all the data sources. Then you will look at patterns. The most important thing is looking at patterns. You should be able to look at the data and generate a pattern out of it and say, is it growing? So that you can remove all one-off situations, unreasonable things, remove all the patterns, then you will segment the data. So you will look at, instead of seeing a subsidiary as a whole, what you will look at it, if there are 4 business segments, you look at each segment separately or different customers. So you will try to see which customer is making more profits, which customers, because analyzing the whole is not possible. You will try, this is like a doctor looking at an diagnosing the problem. Your doctor doesn't look at all the symptoms together. They will take yours and start testing one by one. Same way, you will start separating the segments and try to analyze each segment separately. Then ask the right questions. Then discover the context of your data set. Is it relevant to the data analysis, what you are trying to do? You go across the entire organization. Just don't talk to finance. You don't just talk to marketing. You don't just talk to the customers. You will talk across the entire length and breadth of your organization. You'll have the right team. Then please ensure that you communicate properly to your team what you are trying to analyze. And once you do this, after your analysis, then you have to present it. The presentation is critical. Is that clear? Any questions?
Sir, as per you mentioned, like management team will take, management head will take one decision. Operations head will take one decision. Product head will take one decision.
Yes, ma'am.
So as per convenience, you are talking like splitting of the organization into different heads and taking different decisions.
Each of them are pertaining to one domain, right?
Okay.
Now, let us say in a house.
Good night.
In a house, you have a father, mother, things. Father takes some decision, mothers take some decision. Each of them has a domain. Let us say mother is a housewife for an easy thing. She will see what to cook, right? And if she wants some material, she'll tell, I want this material, she'll purchase. So this decision of what to cook is taken by her, right? So it is by what role they play now. So the most of the decisions come from the role they play in that organization.
So all these are interlinked.
All of them are there. So first you have an org structure which tells what roles each person in the organization plays. And once you have an organization roles, that role will expect some results, right? That is what we call a role, an expectation of what to do. So the production head is expected to deliver all. Now, just a small thing. A person is driving a bus in the road. The driver, whether to brake or not, who takes the decision? The driver will take, because he is responsible for what? To ensure that the passengers are taken safely from point A to point B. So anything.
He is a single person. Driver is a single person.
It is not single. Like whether he should drive in that road is decided by management, right? He is doing one activity. He is responsible for one activity in the entire of shifting the people from there. Which bus to go? He is not taking the decision, right? That's an organization thing. So there are multiple decisions. So suppose I should purchase an Ashok Leyland bike or a Volvo bus. Who takes the decision? The man, somebody else takes it. Operation head may take it. But once that is given to him, whether how much fuel to be filled is taken by somebody. All he has to take a decision is whether to go from one place to another.
Yes.
So each of them has a role to play, has some deliverable. So any decision which is required to deliver that is done by him. The conductor doesn't say whether to brake or not, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So that because driver is responsible for driving, so he will take all decisions which is relevant for him to drive the bus, because he is a powerful person at that point of time. He's a CEO for that role now.
No, I'm getting confused with the management part and the
Management is people. So
marketing and the product part.
correct. So
You're telling like each can take their own decisions.
they have to take the decision what is relevant for their role. Whether
Okay.
to go take, whether I should go for a TV advertisement or to go for a paper
Social.
advertisement, who will take it? Marketing manager has to take. Whether to produce a product B, production head has to take it, right?
Yes.
The consequences, whether there's a shortage or not, is organization will bear it. But
Okay.
to produce or not is his prerogative, right?
Fine.
So the decision, every decision has an owner, what we call a decision owner.
Okay.
He takes a decision, he or she takes a decision for that, and because that decision is required to execute for the deliver the results for that person's role.
Finally, that multiple decisions will go to the owner only. One final owner.
The impact of all the decisions goes to that person.
Okay.
And question is, the final owner can supersede. Like I take a decision before executing or while executing, the owner finds that it's not possible, right? So anybody in the chain can veto my decision.
Okay.
But at that moment, that's a decision I have taken.
Yes.
But after this, whether while during execution, I can be stopped.
Okay.
So that can be done by a senior person. But if it is within my powers, I take a decision and move forward.
Okay.
Okay. Is that clear?
Got it.
Okay. So the point which you have said is very critical. Each person is responsible for the decision what they take. So they are empowered to take the decision what they're doing. So people should be empowered. Suppose in an organization, so each organization has a organized structure and the delegation of authority. In some organization, all decisions are only taken by the single owner. In a promoter-driven company, most decisions happen that way. In which case, nobody down the line goes with a decision, take a decision. They will go with a problem statement and say, this is what I would like to do. The decision is approved by the person. So anybody, yeah, it could be owner, so somebody like that. So this happens in cases where a single person is responsible. But just to understand from a perspective, that person could be at any level in the organization.
Yes.
That is what we should remember. Okay. Okay. Some pitfalls you all should do. One, we heard of this word called analysis paralysis. What happens here is we don't know what information is sufficient. When do we have to stop testing and start acting? So there are cases where people keep on testing, trial, but they are afraid to start acting on it. So this is what we call it as analysis paralysis, where we spend huge amount of analysis. We try to analyze, but we forgot to say that we have to start acting. Don't go into a mode of analysis paralysis, where we overdo the analysis part. There's nothing called, this is a line, but each of you will have to start drawing this line yourself. We need to understand that is the benefits which I'm going to do extra analysis going to be higher. So start thinking of it and see a risk benefit analysis and see when to stop the analysis. Please ensure that the information now is suitable to the recipient. Most of the time we try to do is we take an information, we say this is information I have, take all the information. Whether that person needs it or not, it is like a newspaper. I have a newspaper I have printed and given to you. Whether you need it or not, like somebody is interested in this sports news, somebody is interested in cinema news. For him, the sports news doesn't make any sense. Same way, you will have to give the relevant page. This is what now Google or any of the they like to see your interest and try to give the information you are interested. So this is what they do. Look at your customer, see what sort of information there. It is what sort of information. don't be afraid to give bad news.
Hmm.
I'm not saying that don't think what information is interested. Please give the bad news also, because good news will always find way to go to that person. Don't be afraid to give bad news, but give all information which is needed by that person. Also, please ensure that you don't give too much information which is not and throw that. It's like if I put on a ship more and more information, the ship will sink. Same way, you will have to only give information which is necessary for taking decisions. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
And in Tamil we say "Ade aal padi ade padi." I don't know in Telugu how do you say, but it's not only the information, how you present it is also important. Suppose in this slides I have so much information that's sitting down, and all of them are relevant for you, you may not be able to appreciate it. Same way, if I don't classify, suppose I have to say what is the actionable insight on employees, what is an action like production itself, I can tell him clearly these are the insights for this region, for what equipments are failing. So I can give this is a report on that. So try to see and present it in such a way that he or she can comprehend it and take actions on it. Don't dump it just all together. Start segmenting, make it a proper presentation. Okay. So 3 things: don't overload any information analysis. Second, please ensure that you are giving information which is relevant, not which is likable. Give all information which is relevant. It is don't pick and choose. And as a finance professionals, please ensure that you give bad news. People hesitate to give bad news. Please do not hesitate to bad news. Our job is towards the organization, because as finance professionals, our major responsibility is to ensure that we protect the value of the company. Value is what returns we given. So the value of the company and be only protected, and it's a long-term value which is to be protected. So please ensure that you give the right information, and also ensure that it is presented in the right way, which will lead to action. Because finally, the proof of the pudding is in eating. So if I don't present it properly, if I don't, and a person doesn't eat it, there's no point in giving information. All your effort goes to waste. So please ensure these 3 things. Okay. So with this, I come to my theory part of it. If there is any questions, I can take it again. Prakash sir, do you want,
Yes, sir.
you want anything to be covered also? You can tell.
No, sir. No. Everything is fine, sir. I think it's the time is up.
Yes, sir.
Any more the students?
So it's a very valuable and easy way, sir, explained to us.
Thank you.
Yes.
Good.
And so it was actually a practical decision making, which he gave so many inputs in a professional companies, how they take the decisions, and gave that part of it. I mean, he compared with your personal side also, how you take the decisions. So he explained it in a clear way. I request all the students to unmute the mics and please give us a big thanks to him, clapping the hands, all of you. All of you, please unmute the mics.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
That's a good information. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. It was my pleasure.
Yeah. Spending the time on Sunday, I think. Okay, sir. Nice of you.
Thank you a lot, sir. Thank
Happy
you.
Sunday. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.